I keep trying to get out, but they keep pulling me back in. About a year ago, I decided to purchase every Creation Club add-on for Fallout 4 and offer my honest opinions on each piece, as well as trying, and according to some failing, to come up with an objective system for rating each add-on. Well, a few weeks ago, Bethesda went ahead and offered a whole bunch of those very same mini DLCs to everyone for absolutely free. I guess that's what I get for being an early adopter. There is a silver lining though, because not only were some of the items that were available in 2023 given away for free, but there were also 3 brand new pieces of Creation Club content: the Makeshift Weapon Pack, the Halloween Workshop Pack, and the Enclave Remnants add-on, which interestingly doesn't even have an entry in the Creation Club menu, so what's up with that? Anyway, there has been a flurry of requests for me to review these new to 2024 items, not to mention all the smartasses who have shown up in the comments of my earlier videos saying, "I forgot them." So today, I'm filling in the gaps and offering my opinions on how much value these new freebies really add to your gameplay experience, and yes, the fact that they're free will probably factor into things a bit. Since my previous reviews used different rating criteria for weapons, armor, and workshops, the criteria I am using can seem a bit subjective at times, but you know what? I don't care! When it's actually relevant, I'll state the criteria I'm using to rate weapons and armor, and I'll be ranking these on a scale of 0 to 5, 0 being absolute garbage and 5 being a decent value. So make sure the refrigerant in your Hellfire armor is topped off and settle in, because I'm Gray, you're watching Gray Gaming, and today we're reviewing all Creation Club items in Fallout 4 2024 edition. So the Enclave Remnants pack piggybacks on several other pieces of Creation Club content that have been available for quite some time: the Tesla Cannon, Hellfire Armor, Heavy Incinerator, and XO2 Power Armor add-ons. If you'd like to hear my opinions on each of those items individually, I recommend checking out my reviews on all Creation Club weapons and armor videos, which I will link in the description and set cards at the end of this video. But in addition to giving away a bunch of stuff that I had to go out of my way to purchase, this update also adds a new questline, which is really easy to trigger accidentally. I'll try to avoid any major spoilers, but the attempt here is to basically give an overarching cohesive storyline to all the random CC stuff that was given away, which I actually kinda like. In addition, Fallout 3 style turrets, barricades, and other types of decorations are used to defend Enclave positions, and Enclave officers wear the same coat as Colonel Autumn from Fallout 3. A nice touch that brings in a bit of nostalgia for us Fallout 3 fans. Of course, it would have been nice if it had added that style of turret to the workshop, but whatever, I suppose not every Creation Club item needs to be a buildable object. The officer coat can be upgraded with ballistic weave and comes in either OD or winter white, and has a single armor upgrade similar to most combat armor pieces. It's pretty much a reskin of the Courser uniform. Not great, not bad, just kinda adds a bit of flavor. The quest itself is pretty, well, Creation Clubby. There's no spoken dialogue, and all quest information is presented through textual media like terminal logs and notes lying around. They did do some interesting things to make it feel more like an actual Fallout 4 quest though, like adding in behaviors where Enclave troopers are using Pack Brahmin for target practice, and I thank the holy glow of Adam that they didn't just use the freaking gunners as Enclave troopers. Gunner down! I know I've heard all of the voice lines that these NPCs yell during combat, but at least they kept it nuanced, kind of niche combat dialogue that made it almost feel like I was encountering new characters, instead of someone clearly wearing XO2 power armor yelling "Gunner down!" every time I pwn one of their comrades. The quest is pretty short and is not earth-shattering at all, but dang, you can amass a lot of Enclave power armor and heavy weapons throughout the course of the quest, so it's at the very least useful to undertake if you're planning on outfitting your settlers with a ton of high-end gear. I do want to point out, since my recent playthrough of Broken Steel is fresh in my head, that the Enclave having a plethora of Tesla cannons seems really out of place. So for context, the Tesla cannon was a pre-war weapon, but it was extremely rare. The East Coast Enclave did not possess any Tesla cannons during their war against the Capital Wasteland detachment of the Brotherhood of Steel, and the BOS also did not possess any Tesla cannons. A single specimen was constructed by the BOS for the Lone Wanderer using a Tesla coil nail that they had procured. So why is this weapon now synonymous with the Enclave? It just don't make no sense. That little lack of continuity taken into account, this DLC doesn't necessarily break lore, especially if you're not being a nitpicky douche. The quest line, it's better than a lot of Creation Club quests, but that's also not saying much. Because it's purely a quest line tacked onto other CC add-ons, it doesn't really fit my 5-point scoring model, as each of them are scored on their own merits. But it's also free, so it's not like you can make the mistake of buying something that's not going to return on your investment. Overall, I'm going to give it a subjective 4 out of 5. It doesn't break lore, it actually adds a quest, even if it is a bit of a boring one. It makes the world feel a bit more alive and connected to earlier games, and all the prerequisite add-ons that you also get for free also means there's plenty of added content that should be good for at least a couple hours. Not to mention that included is the best CC quest of them all in the form of the XO2 add-on. So yeah, 4 out of 5 is pretty fair, I'd say. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the Enclave may have missed their chance for world domination, but it's not too late for you to like the video if you're enjoying it thus far. Viewer engagement is the primary metric I use to determine the sort of content that provides the most value to you, a random person on the internet that has the power to choose if I can afford the payments on my slightly used picker-up this month. Please, thank you, and now on with the video. So the Makeshift Weapons pack is pretty interesting for one basic reason. There's an actual interactable NPC who has voice lines. That thing that is virtually non-existent in Creation Club content.
They did it, those bastards, they finally did it.
Now, naturally, all they did was dig into the game files and found the voice lines for some generic wasteland trader running a shop out of their shack, so he doesn't say anything of consequence. But much like the dialogue for the Enclave remnants, that little bit of effort to mask the fact that you're not actually adding any real characters to the game can go a long way, so good show, I say. But that's sort of where this quest takes a bit of a turn, because then it pretty quickly descends into the usual Creation Club drollery. Tasks are handed out not by Suggs, the aforementioned NPC, but by his terminal. He's literally standing right there. The suspension of belief almost negates the joy of having a character to interact with. Anyway, you have to go to the exact same location as another piece of Creation Club content, so I do have to wonder if that's gotta create some quest collisions and prevent them from triggering properly if you own both of them and have them both active at the same time. This Creation Club default location is a common theme and major gripe of mine, where several different CC items require you to go to the same locations during their quest lines. Like, there are literally thousands of locations in the Commonwealth. Why do all these CC quests require you to go either to the Prost Bar, Hub 360, Monsignor Plaza, and the Glowing Sea? Anyway, you track down the weapons and defeat a generic bad guy suffering from a wicked case of butthurt, and it's over. You now have all the makeshift weapons, or at least all the ones that are acquired natively. There are a couple that you just buy from Suggs. Now, actual data on base weapon damage and perks effects on damage output are pretty much non-existent, so forgive me if there's a perk I could have been sinking points into that make any of these assessments feel less valid, but regardless, let's take a look at each of these weapons individually. So the nail gun is a callback to the one found in the New Vegas Lonesome Road DLC. As the name suggests, it's an improvised nail gun, and it operates just about like any submachine gun. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but the rate of fire on this thing is absolutely insane, making up for low damage per shot with high DPS. An acronym I only now realize can also stand for damage per shot. High damage per second, you nerds. Anyway, this thing, it actually isn't all that great. The single greatest problem is the ammo. It shoots nails, which are quite rare and unique to this add-on. You can purchase nails from Suggs, who operates out of a shop in an unmarked section of the map, so basically you're stuck wandering around Cambridge looking for him, or you can buy very small quantities of it from Aaron in the Nuka World market. Not exactly sure why he was the only weapons merchant updated with the improvised weapons pack, but yeah, it's virtually impossible to keep this weapon fed, which you may notice is going to be a running theme with all of these weapons. Comparing to just a standard 10mm handgun in submachine gun mode, the nail gun has a higher rate of fire and ammo capacity, but is much lower in damage output. Comparing it to the 45 submachine gun, it's pretty comparable, but with terrible weapon control while firing, and unlike both of the aforementioned vanilla equivalents, the nail gun can't be suppressed. So I think either of the vanilla options are just way better solutions than the nail gun in most cases. It's not lore breaking, anything, but you can just buy this off Aaron or Suggs, so there's no actual quest involved. It has questionable ammo capacity given its rate of fire, poor damage output, and poor ammo availability. This weapon just gets an abysmal 1 out of 5 ranking. Looks cool, it's a nice wall hanger, but not great for actual gameplay. The baseball launcher is acquired as you're working through the quest, with some thugs attacking Suggs using his own weapon against him. The baseball launcher is a modified pitching machine that Suggs was working on putting together for Mo Cronin, kind of trying to root these weapons into the world of Fallout 4, which, okay, I'll buy it. Anyway, the weapon itself is interesting. Shot for shot, it's pretty bad compared to most heavy weapons. It's not really comparable to anything. Actually, basic combat rifles are going to give you way more damage output, but the rate of fire compared with most heavy weapons is actually pretty dang good, so again, it sort of makes up for poor damage with high DPS. The modified baseballs it launches can be hard to locate, but if you add the flamer attachment and use it at night, it's actually pretty easy to gather up the baseballs when you're done, as they just sit on the ground as a flaming ball. You can also craft more from standard junk baseballs at a chemistry station, so while more rare than other vanilla ammo types, you can stretch the number that are available more than usual. I'll give it the points for lore friendliness and ammo availability. Cases can be argued either way whether it should get the point for damage output or not, but I'll be charitable and give it that point as well, and include the point for the quest acquisition, so it gets 4 out of 5. The weapons pack also includes 2 different grenade launchers, a pipe grenade launcher that Suggs designed based on a single intact specimen that had been issued to Chinese commandos operating on American soil before the war. The pipe version is worse in almost every way than the pre-war version, and pretty much the only incentive you have to use this one is the fact that you acquire it very early in the Makeshift Weapons questline, and the Chinese one is the final quest reward, so once you complete the quest, there's very little reason for you to ever use the pipe version ever again. There are some unique effects on the pipe variant, but they're far outweighed by the Chinese variant's native advantages and unique weapon effects. They're both technically rifles rather than heavy weapons, so you don't get any of the heavy weapon headache of not being able to aim down sights, but they operate pretty much like a heavy weapon. The Chinese variant is freaking great. It's second only to the Gauss rifle for damage output. With up to 20 round ammo capacity, it's fairly acceptable, and while the ammo is pretty rare, both Suggs and Aaron can sell it in decent enough quantities. It's not enough that I feel it should get a point for having plentiful ammo, but also as a semi-auto or single shot in the case of the pipe variant, a little will last you a while. I'll give them the point for lore friendliness, damage, ammo capacity, and quest acquisition, losing the point only for ammo availability, earning the pipe launchers 4 out of 5, though the Chinese variant is far better than the pipe variant in my opinion. The saw blade launcher is essentially a variation on the railway rifle. It's designed to dismember enemies in a somewhat comical way, and when comparing to the railway rifle, it exceeds in virtually every way, except, you probably guessed by now, ammo availability. While just about any weapons merchant in the game is likely to have a small stack of railway spikes laying around, only 2 are ever going to have saw blades at any point. Can you guess who they are? Suggs and Aaron. It'll get the same 4 out of 5 that our previous weapons got. And lastly, we have the Piggy Bank launcher, which is just a Fat Man modified to launch different warheads. It does better damage than the Striker, the Far Harbor version that fires modified bowling balls, but it also does considerably less damage than the standard Fat Man, the Big Boy, or even the Nuka Nuke launcher. The ammo is just piggy banks that have been converted into bottle cap mines. Now, strangely, we have the ability to build bottle cap mines at a chemistry station, but not piggy bank mines or launcher ammo. Instead, we're only able to purchase from, ta-da! Suggs or Aaron, so all in all, it's lore friendly, is acquired through a quest, and has the same 1 round capacity, but does worse damage and has worse availability than any standard variant, so 3 points out of 5. As a whole, this weapons pack added a lot of flavor to the weapons available in-game, but you're not likely to actually get a lot of use out of them when ammo is all unique and is so hard to get a hold of, with no drops and one of the only 2 vendors in-game that sells ammo working out of an unmarked location, and the other operating out of a high-level area you're not likely to unlock until late game. So heart was in the right place, and they definitely tried to improve upon some of my largest gripes with the Creation Club, but the execution still needed a lot of work. So the Halloween workshop is fairly okay. As is apparently somewhat common on this add-on, the quest would not trigger properly for me, so I did have to do some Googling to figure out how in Division to start this damn thing. You go to a new internal cell added to, wait for it, Oh wait, you mean it's not in Hub 360? Finally! It's actually in the Harbor Master Hotel. Why is it there? Your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, you enter a meeting hall and discover that you are now trapped in an escape room type scenario where the hall is filled with toxic gas and feral ghouls. There's a puzzle which I thought was super easy, but it turns out I was wrong, so I have no idea how you're supposed to solve it, but there is a skill check bypass to unlock the chamber. Thank Adam for that. Not only is there an issue of picket fences that unlocks the Halloween decorations in the workshop, but there's also an empty power armor frame that has a unique decapitalist helmet. The helmet is not upgradable, it's essentially a reskin of the T60A helmet without the ability to go up to an F variant. Given that the Harbor Master is in a fairly high level area of the map, you'd likely have far better power armor helmets available by the time you find this one, so I find myself asking, what the hell is the point of this? The decorations added to the workshop are pretty useful actually, not just for Halloween themed settlements but also for other settings. For instance, the specimen jars could easily go into a science lab themed settlement. The orange and purple lights could be used for accent lighting pretty much anywhere. The candle bottles are a nice non-irradiated alternative to the bottle lights added by the Far Harbor DLC. The cartoonish headstones notwithstanding, you could add family burial plots to some of the smaller farmsteads around the Commonwealth. So while I'm usually not one for the holiday themed add-ons, especially since I always seem to be reviewing these things in June when I'm not actually in the holiday spirit, I have to say this add-on actually does include a fair amount of general utility items, a lot more so than the Christmas pack did. So it's lore friendly, it's acquired through a quest, I would actually use it, and it's completely free, so no exorbitant Creation Club price tag for minimal added utility. All in all, I would give this a 4 out of 5, just losing that 1 point because the quest didn't trigger and this appears to be a common issue that needs to be addressed. Now, unless I'm mistaken, I think that accounts for all of the new Creation Club content that was added in the next gen update. Was there anything I didn't mention? Were my scores too critical or even too fair to each item? If you enjoyed this video, you might also be interested in checking out my series where I reviewed the entire Creation Club for Fallout 4. You can check out that playlist on the top left, or maybe you'd prefer the video down there on the lower left. On the off chance that you're needing a break from my Fallout content, then maybe you should consider checking out my sci-fi channel here on the top right. Until next time, stay safe, and I hope to see you here next time on Gray Gaming.